There is a particular kind of stillness that comes before a person finally understands themselves. It does not announce itself. It simply settles, the way dusk settles over open water, quietly, completely, without asking permission. You are living inside that stillness right now, even if it feels more like confusion than clarity. I have observed something curious about the ones who feel the most lost. They are rarely lost at all. They are simply in between who they were taught to be and who they are quietly, persistently becoming. That space between identities is uncomfortable. It is supposed to be. It is the necessary friction of growth, not the evidence of failure. But I understand why it aches. When you look around and see people your age with foundations already poured, with names established, with trajectories that appear certain, there is a specific kind of loneliness in that. A question that forms in the chest before it ever reaches the mind. Why not yet for me? Here is what I want you to sit with. Timing in nature is not linear. The oak does not apologize for taking longer than the weed. The river does not rush to prove it knows the sea. There are patterns in this world that have nothing to do with speed and everything to do with depth. Some things take longer because they are going further down, not because they are falling behind. You have been measuring your interior life against other people's exterior moments. That is a deeply human habit, and it causes a particular kind of suffering. Because what you see in someone else is a surface. It is a moment. It is the curated edge of a story whose full length and texture you will never fully know. You are comparing your private doubts to their public arrivals. That comparison is not accurate. It is not even honest. Every person you have ever admired for their seeming certainty has stood somewhere similar to where you stand now. They have held the same questions. They have sat in rooms that felt too quiet, in seasons that felt too long. The difference is not that they were better equipped for the journey. The difference is simply that they kept going, and so have you. That is worth naming plainly. You have kept going through the periods when keeping going required more courage than beginning. There is something in you that has not stopped, even when stopping would have felt easier. That is not a small thing. That is character forming in the dark. I want to speak to something else too, something that often goes unaddressed. There is grief involved in growing up slowly, in arriving to yourself at a different pace than you expected. There are versions of your life that will not happen now. Dreams that belonged to an earlier chapter have a different shape in this one. Letting those go is not giving up. It is the honest work of becoming someone real, rather than remaining loyal to someone imagined. Grief and growth live close together. One does not cancel the other. What tends to happen when people finally stop fighting their own timeline is something worth describing carefully. They do not suddenly have all the answers. They do not become immune to doubt. What changes is their relationship to the not knowing. They begin to walk inside uncertainty without needing to resolve it immediately. That capacity, that tolerance for the unfinished, that is one of the deeper signs of becoming. You may already be further along than you realize. The version of yourself you are moving toward does not exist yet in full form. That is true, but it is being shaped right now by the choices you make inside this difficult stretch, by how you speak to yourself when no one is listening, by whether you remain curious about your own life even when it frustrates you, by whether you choose, on an ordinary afternoon, to show up anyway. These are the details history tends to forget, and yet they are the actual material of a life. I have seen people bloom at 20 and fade at 30. I have seen people wander the long way around only to arrive somewhere that could not have been reached any other route. I have seen purpose emerge from loss, clarity emerge from chaos, and beauty emerge from the very years a person was most convinced they were wasting. The years you are calling lost are not lost. They are being lived. There is no moment in time that exists outside your becoming. even this one, especially this one. What I want to leave you with is not a promise that everything will resolve neatly. It is something more durable than a promise. It is an observation. Every living thing has its own particular way of arriving. Yours is yours. It is not wrong. It is not damaged. It does not need to be corrected or accelerated or compared to anything outside itself. You are not waiting for your life to begin. Your life is happening now, in the noticing, in the questioning, in the willingness to stay present to a process you cannot yet fully see. That is not falling behind. That is what becoming actually looks like from the inside. You are not late to your own becoming. You are in it. You have always been in it. And what you are growing into is already beginning to cast a shadow forward, which means the light behind you is real, even on the days it does not feel that way. Keep going, not because it will be easy, but because you are already the kind of person who does.